Hi folks, thanks for tuning in. This will probably be the last video in the slide deck construction. In this, I'm going to cover the actual deck extension as well as the railings, the ladder, and the slide. So hopefully, if you've watched all the other three videos before this will be a logical extension to that. If not, I would really recommend that you go back and watch the part 1 through part 3 before coming on to this. As usual, in the first episode, I had actually given credits to Neil TW from DIY Chat Room, who basically guided me through this whole process. I want to make sure that I acknowledge his support and help here as well, because this was a fairly intricate last step in building this out. The extension and the railing itself was complicated, and it really helped me get through it in the most efficient manner as possible. So I'd really like to offer my acknowledgements to Neil TW from DIY Chat Room. So stay tuned. Please watch this till the end, and I would really appreciate if you could like and subscribe to my channel. So as you're seeing in this picture, this is what we're trying to get to. We want support for the deck rails, which goes through the deck and then goes up on the incline. So I want to put deck rails all over, from starting from the back and leading up to the front. So this is a schematic of what we're going to be doing. And this actually shows you the lower 2x4 that's been installed. And what I'm doing here is I'm using a level to check the level. And then I'm marking at the top and creating a similar kind of a framework there as well. So this shows you both of those boards anchored at the bottom and the top, and then one of them at the end that's connecting both of them and is anchored to the deck. The side view of that is also shown. So this shows you how the deck railing will be laid out. As you're seeing, for each of the railing, I want to see if it's completely level, and each of those railings are kept on top of a 2x4 at the bottom so that they're evenly spaced out from the bottom. I'm going to be using a jig between the pickets to basically position them at the right spacing, then using a level to make sure they're level, and a spacer to make sure it's correctly marked from the floor. And this shows you the jig that I'm using. So this jig basically uses two pieces of 2x4, as you're seeing, right? So they're just anchored to each other. So what I can do is that I can use this as a spacer between the deck railings, as you will see moving forward when I install the deck railings. And the screw can also be loosened to keep it at an angle, so the spacing can be used even when going up the stairs to put the deck railing. So first thing I did was I anchored the picket into the two 2x4s, the top and the bottom, with the spacer at the bottom. And now what I'm doing is I'm placing the jig to space out the next picket. So you'll see that I've now put on the next picket and anchored one screw at the top. Now I'm checking for level and making any adjustments, and then I'm going to be using the screws, two screws at the bottom and two screws at the top, to screw this picket on. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be repeating the step to the right and to the left. While going on the left up the stairs, what I'll be doing is I'll be twisting the jig a little bit so that the spacer will be the same, but it can go up the stairs. And I will be using the same kind of a concept to make all my other pickets anchored to the two 2x4s. So next thing you're seeing here is I'm placing these 2x4s inclined, so that what I'm doing is creating the railings going towards the top of the stairs. As you're seeing here, I've done that, and I placed another 2x4 at the end, which anchors them together to the deck. So what I'm going to be then doing is putting the railings, and as you're seeing here, this is the completed picture of the railings going up the stairs. So the top, what I want to do is I want to create a structure like this, where the railings are there between the top and the bottom, and the slide is placed somewhere towards the right hand side. And I have the two 2x4s running at the top and the bottom, and the pickets going in between them. So these are the schematics of how I'm going to be doing that. Now this shows you the size of the uprights, as well as how I'm going to be anchoring them to the top and the bottom. One thing I want to call out your attention to is the circled item here, which are the two blocks I'm installing behind the railings. This is to give enough space to be able to anchor the railings into the blocks at the back. so that they have about 2 screws at the bottom and 2 at the top. Since we don't have the same 2x4 at the bottom that we had when we did the side railing, this is necessary so that you have more of a surface to be able to anchor the railings to the deck. So one of the complications we ran into was that once I completed this, I realized that I needed to give a slight extension to the stairs so that the kids can actually climb up the rock climbing wall and go from there to the deck. I did not have this planned out initially, so this required a little bit of rework. So as you're seeing here, the schematic shows you how I want to extend it. I want to basically make a triangle so that there will be an overlap with the rock climbing wall, so the kids can get on from there to here. So what that involves is something like this. So I've circled the key thing that needs to be done here. My stairs were actually running on the green lines as you're seeing there. So what I need to do is replace one of them with a longer piece of 2x6 so that a triangle can be formed. So the red area shows you the triangle. So I'll have to swap out one of those 2x6 pieces and replace it with a longer piece and construct the triangle. So this required a little bit of rejigging and taking things out and putting back things together. But this is what we're shooting for right now so that extension can be built. So this shows you that extension where I swapped out that one piece with the 2x6 and placed another longer piece so that it extends and overlaps the rock climbing wall to a certain extent. So what I'm going to be doing then is constructing the triangle on the sides of this. So this shows you the hypotenuse that I'm measuring. I'm also anchoring a 2x4 block inside so that I can actually have an anchoring surface. So you're seeing here, I've actually constructed the triangle here. So this is so as my extension. So this shows you how I'm actually screwing those pieces of new wood that I've put to construct the triangle. This is one end, and this shows you the deck boards that I need to attach on top of that to result in that completed structure that you will see shortly. There's still a gap to the rock climbing wall as you're seeing, so what we need to do is we need to cover it up now. So what I'm going to be doing is putting another piece of 2x4 right next to that completed structure, just like this. The side view shows it here. This is how I'm going to be constructing it. And on top of that, I'm going to be cutting a piece of 2x6 at an angle like that so that it can actually fit in that space like that. So this shows you the structure that I've put together, and then the angled piece that I'm going to put on the top to minimize the gap with the rock climbing wall. And this shows you the completed structure. Now I want to create the vertical railing on the side. So I'm seeing which step I need to anchor it to. So as you're seeing here, what I'm doing is placing a 2x4 at the bottom on the step and seeing where I need to anchor a piece of 2x6 and create the support. So this is how the final piece will look. There's a 2x6 which anchors it to the rock climbing wall, and from there the vertical support extends up and is anchored to the triangular extension. So this shows the different views of the same thing. So the next step involves closing up the top and then adding the railings so that everything from the deck extension on the left to the right is completely covered in the railings with a gap in between to mount the slide. This shows the ladder that I built, basically using two pieces of 2x4s of 48 inches height and putting the steps at 11 inches, 22 inches and 33 inches, 2x4s again. So these are anchored together and the ladder was created. So for extra stability and support to each of the 4 legs, what I want to do is put in a lag screw to hold everything together. So I'll be putting in 1 lag screw per leg into the horizontal piece that holds up the deck. Next. So this shows you the pilot hole sizes that need to be drilled to put in a lag screw. What I'm going to be using is a 3/8" lag screw, for which it shows that for the softwood you need to do a pilot hill of 9/32". That is fairly close to a 1/4" and which is the drill bit that I have. So I'm going to make a 1/4" pilot hole, and then anchor the lag screws in. I then anchored the slide to the top of the deck and added 1 additional piece of support just for extra stability. Thanks for staying till the end. I hope this video and the previous parts were helpful for you to know how I constructed my slide deck, the associated complications, and how I solved them. This was a really interesting and a very engaging project for me, and I hope that my kids are going to have a lot of fun with it in the upcoming years. Thanks so much for watching, and I would really appreciate if you could like and subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop a comment.